I'm Rosh from Energy Matters. Welcome to our podcast, Road to Zero, where we dive headfirst into all things renewable. Join us as we chat with industry experts, tech specialists, and some of your favorite TV and radio personalities, asking the renewable energy questions that you want answers to. Our goal, a zero carbon future. Today, I am absolutely delighted to be joined by Thomas Bywater, Country Manager for AIKO Solar. Hi, Thomas, how are you?
Yeah, good morning, Rosh. Great to be here with you.
Mate, likewise. First question, AIKO or AIKO?
Mate, we love AIKO, but we're a very forgiving bunch over here at AIKO. We're happy with AIKO, whatever gets you in the frame of mind to do the back contact solar cells.
Mate, absolutely fantastic. I can tell we're going to be talking about back contact cells in this conversation. Thomas, I've been working with you guys for a little while now. Obviously saw your technology a few months ago at exhibition, and it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I was blown away with it. Obviously know a few people within your organisation as well, like Ross. Yeah. So, for me, it's just such a familiar brand immediately. And your launch was pretty spectacular as well. So lots for us to talk about today, including an upcoming episode of Open Homes Australia, which we're delighted for. But before we get into that, Thomas, I'd like to understand a little bit more about the man behind the brand. So can you give us a bit of a rundown on yourself, your journey to date in the renewable energy industry, and how you found AIKO Energy?
Yeah, Rosh, like everyone, I think solar is just such an exciting thing to get behind. There's no moving parts. It's so elegant. And ever since I was a kid, I just dreamed about the future that we're going to have with the solar-powered bicycles and the wonderful technology we've got all around us today. And it's a long journey for me. I started out actually working in banking, but quickly pivoted to solar engineering. So I've worked in a business sense, looking at things like return on investment and all those good things, but also having worked as an electrician. So I've installed thousands of systems as well. So I've had the pleasure of working on people's homes and learning about how homeowners trust you with their prized possession of their family home. And of course, working in the manufacturing sector too. So I'm a trained PV engineer. So I've learned how do you actually make solar panels. So all that comes together to where we are today at AIKO.
How did you transition from banking to solar?
Well, not to bash the finance guys, but I think we could see there's a certain morality to the quest that we're on here to save the planet. And of course, a home lender helps people buy their first home. So there's a lot of good things there in every industry around the place. But I just think that the feel-good factor of solar is just so much more, and it's really inspiring. And who could walk past that when you get an opportunity?
No, absolutely. And I think fundamentally for me, it's you kind of at different times of your career, you kind of go through that journey when you understand, there's other things that are more important, and there's many ways to make a dollar. And at the same token, if you can make a difference and actually be part of something as part of that career, then not only does it help you sleep at night, but you're actually leaving the planet in a better place than you first found it. So I commend you, Thomas. You're one of the many converted, which is fantastic. Thomas,
Thanks,
couple quick questions. So why did you choose AIKO? I mean, how did that come about?
Well, the first thing you should know, Rosh, is that I, in Chinese, it actually means love. So it just speaks to the kind of character of this company. It loves our humanity, our society, our planet. And then the technical director and the CEO of AIKO are two visionaries, and they've been in the business for 25 years. So I've been watching what they've been doing for a long, long time. And when I saw the elegance of this back contact solution with no metal on the front of the cells, it just speaks to my engineering heart. No metal on the front to block the sunlight getting in. You're going to get the best out of it. And as soon as you see that and the shade management and all that, as a solar nerd, you can't walk past that.
So my background is industrial design. So I really, from my point of view, I love technology. I love aesthetics. And I think one of the things that I'm most attracted to is by how elegant technology can be, especially in our industry. And the way your panel actually looks is striking. I mean, it's beautiful. Before we get into that, though, Thomas, I mean, whereabouts is AIKO based? Where the panels manufactured?
Yeah, so here in Australia, we've got our Pacific Centre of Excellence. So the Pacific area, that's your Australia, New Zealand, New Caledonia, is run out of Melbourne. I myself am based in Sydney, and of course we have people nationally, as you would expect from a company of AIKO's size and pedigree. For the manufacturing, it's 2 locations that are key to the Australian story for AIKO. First one, Zhuhai. So Zhuhai is near to Hong Kong, and the second location is Yiwu, which is near to Shanghai. So the beautiful part to that is that both of these centres have a lot of exposure to robotics and, of course, the materials that we're looking for. So whether it be the silicon, the aluminium, all those sort of things are very nearby. And that leads to a really secure supply chain, as well as being able to have a close eye on where things are coming from in terms of the materials we're using to make the panels.
Which is absolutely fantastic. I've heard a lot of good things about your facilities. I've heard the one in Hong Kong is breathtaking. We're going to be in China in a few weeks' time, so hopefully we'll get to come and visit. But I do love the use of robotics inside of this process, because it really does show the quality of manufacturing it's just excelling, right? It literally has gone from strength to strength. And anyone who doubts, the way technology is put, solar panels are put together, only needs to really get a visual on your processes to understand the amount of quality that goes into it. Even before that, obviously, research and development. I know you guys are really, AIKO specifically has really embraced the latest and greatest technology. Tell me a little bit about your latest panel, Thomas, because I know it's there in the back of your mind.
Yeah, so speaking about that robotics and the Q&A that goes into those factories nowadays, that's actually been what's been key to being able to make the panels we have today. So if you go back 5-6 years ago, we couldn't actually do this laser scribing. So you'd be saying, well, what does the lasers give you? Well, surprisingly, it helps you to manage shade. So something as bright as a laser is actually helping us to deal with the shade that comes from our gum trees and comes from maybe the chimneys or the stink pipes that you see on the roof. And so what's magic about this panel is that it can manage very small amounts of shading on your roof. And that's something that's unique to this panel. So we haven't been able to do that up until now. And that gives us the ability to look at sites where maybe there is some obstructions. Maybe guys have told you can't install solar here. Maybe they've said that you need to have a smaller output system. So those panels, the NeoStar that's going on in our Australian homes, is an elegant technical solution. And the reason it can do that is that beautiful robotics that we've got in Zhuhai there.
So literally, when you see a demonstration of your panel, which is amazing, and if anyone who after this, after you've seen this particular podcast, jump onto our YouTube, and there's some interviews on myself on looking at the AIKO stand and the demonstration that you guys did, where you had different lamps shining on your panels, and then you'd apply some shading and then actually show the readout in terms of how much of performance was lost. And typically on a solar panel, you apply shading on any part of that module. That part is like essentially, if it's a split cell, maybe half it's redundant. If it's not, the whole panel's now redundant. But on your particular panels, all you're simply doing is isolating that particular component that's been affected by shade, and your panel's still performing incredibly well. In terms of innovation, are you the guys that first invented this tech? Are you the first of the party?
Yeah, Rosh, back contact as a concept, any solar nerd's been probably familiar with that, because it makes intuitive sense, right? The metal on the front of the solar panel, granted it's not very much metal, but it's just going to shade the cells. So we've understood for a long time it's a great idea to get the metal off the front of those solar cells, put it on the back where the light's not coming in. That way we'll capture more light. But the solar cells we're using now, they're not your grandparents' back contact solar cells, which many of them might have been an older technology called P-type. We're using the most modern N-type wafers to make our product. And what that's also given you is that aesthetics that you mentioned before. So I really tweaked to what you said before, Rosh, because being a solar nerd, and sometimes I'm an electrician, we tend to focus on the sort of nuts and bolts of the job. And it can be possible people lose sight of the street appeal of the panels. And we're building a product here that's going on people's houses, and just as much as people choose the paint or they choose the grass that they're going to have on the house, they want to be able to control the appearance of their solar panels. And by using that back contact design, you do get that beautiful aesthetic that comes from having no metal on the front, and you don't get the reflection from the metal. So I think that's something as well that we can start to pay more attention to going forward. Not only when making a better product, but it's just more friendly to the eye as well.
Absolutely, and you're speaking my language. I think And look, it leads us on nicely to talking about Open Homes Australia. We've been working on that show now for about 3 years. And anyone who's watched the show, and if you haven't, you have to tune in this Saturday on 9 Live, 5 p.m, or again on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. to see AIKO's panel. We'll talk about more of that in a second. But what we love about that particular show is it demonstrates that, in a lot of cases, multi-million-dollar homes, beautiful homes, maybe $20-30 million on the Sydney Harbour. Whereas in the past, when I used to be involved in solar power, like maybe 2009 to 2012, one of the biggest rebuttals I had were people saying, look, I understand the technology, and I know it's going to help my home, but it looks so ugly. And that's not what I want to see when I'm driving down my driveway towards my home every day. So, so really for me, the fact that panels have evolved to be stunning and actually be a feature of the home as opposed to just something that's producing power, which FYI is incredibly important. But the fact it actually can blend in and look stunning is really just awesome in terms of how we've advanced our technology and advanced the way you're actually utilizing, the robotics and what's available to you to make such beautiful panels. Before I ask you too many questions about open homes, Thomas, I'm just going to quickly show a preview for this week, guys. So for anyone who can be at home over the weekend, who is planning to be at home over the weekend, on 9 Live on the 9 Network, 5 p.m. on Saturday or 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, and plenty of repeats throughout the week, as well as on 9 Now will be Open Homes Australia. Let's watch a quick preview.
On this episode of Open Homes, we see inside this gem, this stylish family home.
Do you like pink? Just a little bit.
We get a special tour of this home.
I knew I was in for a treat when I knew I was meeting up with the legendary John D.
And at the end of the show, this house in Castle Hill is sure to impress.
You're either going for two things in a kitchen. You're going for a breakfasty space, or you're going for a statement.
Come with us as we step inside.
There we go. Super exciting, Thomas. So, look, we can't wait to feature you guys on the show. The filming was absolutely fantastic. And, you really ticked a box for me as well in terms of the home that you have in partnership with Solar Juice installed with AIKO's panels, being John D. He's the man, the myth, the legend, somebody that's done so much for Australia. Tell me a little bit more about the backstory. So what had you guys working with John?
Yeah, so with respect to that, it was introduced by Solar Juice. Obviously, we've heard of John before, and there's a lot of great things as he's been involved with, as you know, from the Planet Ark and all that sort of thing. And anyone that you sort of mention his name to, they've got a story. Oh, yeah, I saw that, and then this with him. So it gets people certainly excited. So basically, what happened is that John, he came to Solar Juice. He was facing some challenges with his particular site, which happens to be in the mountains, as you mentioned in that promo reel there. And his property does have some solar panels there. They're a little bit old, and also at that time, we couldn't deliver the power that we now can do. So he was looking at how can he improve his yield from his roof. So your roof is a valuable real estate, actually, and John was looking to make good use of that, and he was seeing some power outages there from, as you'd appreciate, the heavy winds, the fires. They knock out the trees and things in the mountains there. And so Achilles, the technical sales manager there, he was presented with that challenge, and he's the kind of person who's a bit of an expert, and he's looking for the right solution to the specific problem. So he doesn't just grab anything, and he was looking at that and he immediately thought, well, why not use AIKO, where you do have that high efficiency, you've got that yield, and you've got the shade management. So even if there's overhanging trees, okay, we can manage that with the shade management inside the panel. And then if we've got space constraints, well, these panels make the best use of your space as well. So he just immediately recommended the NeoStar All Black, because the other thing is, of course, everyone's looking at John's house, so it has to look spectacular because he's just the focal point of a lot of our movement. So initially he was cautious, I guess you might say, John, because he hadn't encountered our product before. But as soon as he realised the company's been around for 25 years, this product, 15 years in the making, working on these cells, and seeing Professor Martin Green talking about our product and emphasising how back contact is the future. Well, I think he was impressed with our innovative approach, And I think he was eager to even be a test case of that. So, he wanted to see firsthand the difference, and he's got the old panels there, and you can immediately see the benefits with these AIKOs side by side.
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, normally when I'm on, presenting on the show, I'm the one that has to lead the conversation about the technology and really drill down about its, bells and whistles. But that wasn't the case. I mean, for being in that particular property, chatting to John and the Solar Juice team, first, shout out to those guys. I mean, I know you mentioned just now, but absolutely, they are absolutely first class in terms of everything they do. An amazing distributor of quality products. But at the same token, they just go above and beyond. And to really, for Achilles to step into that, look, let's find you the actual solution and make a recommendation which suits your actual, what you require, suits, your location and the challenges you're going to face, not just now, but in the future, is absolutely fantastic. So I have a lot of time for those guys, especially Remy. Quick shout out to you, mate. But really, what I loved about the technology, and I went to the Blue Mountains the night before just to have a bit of a walk around and just settle into my environment. And it was crazy windy. Obviously we're in summer, so it's super cold. But I also, having lived in Sydney for a number of years, know it can get incredibly hot in summer. And so just the variances in terms of temperature, it really is everything Australia's got to throw at you. And then specifically where John's home is located, there are just so many trees. I mean, it's beautiful, it's stunning, but it's almost like a solar person's nightmare, back in the day. So, so your particular panel is absolutely, it's perfect for any test case, right? For any home, but really it's in this particular environment where it really stands on its own, because it's not then about having microinverters and isolating every single panel from the rest. It's about the panel itself. You maximize the square meterage, so you're getting the maximum output for the square meterage it sits on. But on top of which, the technology incorporated within that panel is really lending itself to be as efficient as possible, despite the conditions. So, knowing that when I rocked up, and then knowing that, and John just was so articulate and around your technology. So clearly he was so inspired by what he has on his roof. It was a very well put together segment. So it's going to make for good television. But good on you guys. I mean, really, what would be your core messaging out to anyone looking to go solar power in that type of environment? Obviously, you can spruce yourself a little bit here if you want. Thomas. I think I've done it for you, to be honest. But really, understanding what your technology does.
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Like a lot of our Australian customers in the solar space, they embrace nature. And with nature does, of course, come tree cover, which we love. And then the other thing which comes is, of course, bird life, perhaps. And so what you do get over time on a rooftop, so you probably see this under a TV aerial or maybe on a statue or something that's on a rooftop, you do get bird droppings. And one of the things that's missed is that over time, that beautiful clear panel that you put up on your roof there'll be some uneven soiling that comes from some of the nature that we know and love. And this actually helps with that as well. So you talk about the shade management. It does relate to things like your chimneys and your stink pipes that are obvious. What's not obvious is that it's going to help you as you go forward and you see the change in the surface there, where it will potentially have bird droppings till the next time the rain will wash that off. But it also opens the door with the aesthetics there. So a lot of people in their mind, they remember the solar hot water systems of the 70s and 80s, which was a huge tank on your roof, or it might have been some sort of collector that was there, and it was really obtrusive visually. So I think we are opening the door to those people who've been concerned about aesthetics in the past. Maybe they've got a new home, beautiful ColourBond monument roof. It just fits in with that really well. The other thing, of course, is you mentioned about the fires and the wind up in the mountains, and we want to present the safest systems that we can every time we step onto a roof. And even if there was shading on our panels, which does cause the cells to heat up a little bit, our cells don't get as hot as potentially other panels. So you got straight away a safety benefit from that point of view. And of course, it's going to make electricity, right? So the whole reason we put the solar onto the roof is to fight off those electrons from the coal power, kick them out of our house, and let our fridge be powered by our own power station. And these panels make more energy, right? That's what we're doing. So sometimes with all those other good aspects of the AIKO panels, we forget that it makes more power. So the panels themselves have more watts per square meter, and they throw out more energy, so more kilowatt hours for the same system size. So anyone who goes down this path, they're either going to save space or they're going to get more power onto that roof. And at the end of the day, they're going to make more energy, which is what we need to do if we're going to save this planet, Rosh.
Absolutely. And it's like having art on your roof as well, which is the final cherry on the icing. But you have, and whilst you were talking, you inspired me, Thomas, because one of the things I'm present to, and look, everyone has an opinion about climate change, and is it cyclical? It is cyclical, right? But are we speeding things up with the amount of carbon we're producing and spitting out into the atmosphere? Absolutely, right. We're doing things at a much faster rate than the planet was ever prepared for. And now we're going to deal with some consequences as a direct result. But inside of those consequences, without being doomy and gloomy, summer's going to just get a lot hotter. Winters are going to get a lot colder. There's going to be a lot more extreme temperature, right? Extreme weather. So I think fundamentally, if you're planning ahead, and these things are just a byproduct of what the industrialization of our planet's caused, you want technology that's going to still be able to fit inside of that narrative and produce. And I think that's where you guys have really hit the mark inside of the way you developed this particular panel and, the panels inside of your organization, that you have factored in the extreme temperatures, the extreme weather events, the fact that, if you are in a leafy environment, trees are going to grow, branches are going to grow. When the sun arcs in different times of the year, shading comes from different angles than you may have first anticipated, 2 or 3 years ago. So it's important to be planning ahead for the future and have something on your roof that can manage everything now and obviously be with you for the next 25 plus years. No.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. And as a young whippersnapper electrician apprentice, I can remember looking on your side, that's the Energy Matters side, and seeing the generation figures for the different suburbs and things that you guys had listed on the Energy Matters side. And it's amazing now to go around Australia and visit these systems and see that we're beating all those predictions. So it doesn't matter if we talk, Ross was up in Townsville just the other day looking at some systems, and as you'd appreciate, very sunny in Townsville. So the numbers that we're seeing there were off the charts, but equally, right now I'm in New Zealand and we love New Zealand, and just seeing the production out of our 455 All Blacks here is amazing. Maybe All Blacks is a trademark, full blacks, maybe Black Magic.
It's appropriate for New Zealand.
Yeah, these results are just so inspiring. Like, in your head as an engineer, it's going to make this energy. You've done the modeling, right? You know the physics of these materials, but when you see it dialing back the bill for the customers, and when you see the fact that you're kicking the coal out of the grid, that's when it becomes real for you, And I think we've got a real opportunity in Australia to do more for people with these products that are more efficient.
No, absolutely. I still have conversations with the end user. I don't get to speak to a lot of the customers myself personally, but we helped a retirement village recently, and the guy who runs that retirement village, his own home, and he called me at 7:30 in the morning, which is a ridiculous time to call me. And but I was on my morning walk, and he said,
"Wait till you're an electrician, Rosh. 7:30 midday."
Yeah, I know. Right? I'm like, what? I have a process. I have my walk in the morning, and he called me throughout that walk and said, "There's something wrong with my system." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It's 7:30, and I can already see that I'm producing, like the amount of electricity I'm producing is starting to elevate already." I thought you said it. I probably wouldn't expect anything until about sort of 10 a.m. I said, "Well, 10 till 2 is pretty much that core peak part of the day." And he goes, 100%. "This is unbelievable, right?" So it was just nice to know and have that warm and fuzzy feel that that the solar system and the quality technology that we have right now is actually assisting people for an expanded period of their day, as opposed to just the smaller part we have to do the math on to make sure things above board and expectations are set carefully. But literally is really helping and people's lives and reducing their carbon footprint. But more importantly, I'll say more importantly, but a lot of cases more importantly to them, saving money in their back pocket. So which is amazing. Thomas, a couple of quick questions because we are flying through. You've got an amazing panel. It's incredible. You've got amazing technology. our customers are always looking for new and cutting edge technology, and this panel obviously delivers on that. Is there anything else in the pipeline? Is there anything else you can tell us about that's coming soon? Is there if so, I mean, what would you love to see come out next for AIKO?
Yeah, so I mean, we've already built on the 440 All Blacks. So we were one of the first to bring a positive tolerance 440 All Black to Australia. And we've now got that as a 455 as well. So you still have the 440 available. So we're very big believers in consistency. So if you plan a project, you can still deliver on that. But bringing that 455 All Black in the same size. And we've also got the 470, 475s coming out in the same space that you would see a 440 if you're willing to use that white backsheet panel. So that's our second generation products. We're already into the second gen. Next year, we'll be bringing our third gen product. And what we're going to do there is use some robotics that we mentioned before to do some clever things in rearranging how the cells are laid out on the panel, just to make more use of that front side of the panel. And that third gen product, we should see that in Q1. So the good news for someone, even if you've installed with us today, a company that's progressing and innovating is a company that will be around for the future. So I think it's a great story from the point of view of our engineering students at Australian universities. So we work with universities to improve our technology at our factories overseas. And we are building the business here stronger and stronger every day. So that roadmap, that innovation actually secures your warranty for the product that you've already been installing. So that third gen product, Q1 next year, really excited to launch that. And we look forward to sharing that with you at the time, Rosh.
I can't wait. I can see another podcast and TV show coming up in our foreseeable future. So thank you so much for joining me, Tom. It was amazing to chat to you. AIKO Energy, what an incredible brand, what incredible technology. And we're so excited to see this week's episode of Open Homes Australia on at 5 p.m. on Saturday on 9 Live, and again on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. as well as throughout the week. If you can't watch it live, fear not, you can jump onto 9 Now and just stream it at your own leisure on their catch-up TV service. If you have yet to go solar power, fear not, because there are still plenty of opportunities to get a range of technology, but specifically if you wanted to, AIKO, jump onto the Energy Matters website, have a look at our recommended products page, and by all means view AIKO's latest products on that page, as well as Google them, and you can jump in. And when you are ready to take the plunge, jump onto our website or just visit this link at energymatters.com.au/free solar quotes, and get a quote for the latest technology. Put in your notes that you want AIKO, so the local installer can quote you on their tech as well. And look, just see how you go. I know right now things are tough financially. There are a range of different financial solutions out there. Obviously, of course, there's federal funding, some state-based funding, depending on where you live. But above and beyond that, there's a range of different finance options with reasonably low interest or built-in interest. So it lands as a zero interest opportunity. There always is interest, so it's built into the price of the product. But at the end of the day, there'll be an opportunity to get that product on your roof without having to raise the capital up front and then just pay off an affordable monthly repayment, which a lot of the time the savings of your power bill will offset. So for now, thank you so much for your time. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as follow us on all our social media, and tune in this Saturday for Open Homes Australia, and also to check out AIKO Solar in the flesh on John D's home. The man, the legend, he's awesome. Take care, guys. See you next time.